So let's take a closer look at the click on command. Now let's first start by visiting the Alexia BASIC labyrinth. Then we're going to print the system variable HTML inputs, and what that's going to do is here in the emulated computer screen window, it's going to print out all the various HTML inputs and buttons that may exist on a particular web page, in this case inside the labyrinth. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in the click on button once we get a better sense of what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and cast this spell, and we'll give this a moment to load. And in just a second, we'll have the labyrinth appearing here in the web view window. Okay, there it is. And in just another moment, we'll have all of the HTML inputs from this page loaded here in the emulated computer screen window. So this is really useful, because instead of having to study all the source code for what can be sometimes very complicated web pages, we instead have simply the code that's relevant for us to be able to type information into web forms, to click on buttons, to change drop downs, to change checkboxes. It's all right here. So let's scroll down here in the web view window, and we see that there are two buttons. Button number 1 that says click me, and button number 2 that says click me. Now let's examine over here in the emulated computer screen window. We're just going to take a look here, and let's see if we can identify where some of these buttons might be. So right away, right down here at the bottom, we see that there is some button identification information provided to us. So we have one button that's showing up with an ID of first, and it would appear that up here we have an input ID of button to click, type button, and then the value of that is click me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to click on the first button. So to do that, it would appear, at least initially, as if though that first button might be right here. So let's go ahead and click on, and then here's what we're going to do. We're going to use some of our web form variables, specifically the ID component, which allows us to type in ID equals, and then as you can see right here, the ID that was identified for us is first. So we're just going to type in ID first. So let's go ahead and remove this previous code, and now let's see if we're able to successfully click on the first button simply by identifying it with the ID that corresponds with what we're seeing here. So that should hopefully be this very first button down here. So let's go ahead and cast this spell, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we clicked on the cast button, and now we see here in the web view window that under, or at least beside button number 1, it says button 1 clicked. So we were successful in clicking on the first button by simply using the click on command. Now let's see if we can click on the second button. So that presumably would be button number 2 click type button, and then it has a value of click me. So what we can do is, let's see, we can identify this particular button by the ID again. Perhaps we can even identify it at this point given the value that's included here, because from the looks of it, there's no other value that includes the words click me inside of the web form, as we can see from down here. So let's just go ahead and try a slightly different approach. So instead of using the ID of button to click, let's instead attempt using value, and it will be click, and actually it's in capitalized letters, so let's just assume for a moment this is case sensitive, and so we're going to type in value equals click me, because that after all is what we see right here. So let's see if that works. If not, we can always revert back to using the ID, which we see right here. So let's go ahead and click on the cast button. We'll cast this short little spell, and we'll see if button 2 changes at all, and sure enough it did. It says button 2 clicked. Excuse me, what we were able to successfully do in this short demonstration is use the click on command to click on two buttons, button number 1 and button number 2. And as you can see from the emulated computer screen window, the information that's provided here in the emulated computer screen window was able to help guide the process of choosing the right buttons to click on. So this just barely, and I truly mean barely, scratches the surface of just how incredibly powerful the click on command is, but at least now you have a somewhat better understanding of how it works and how to use it. Thanks for watching. Now please subscribe to our channel.